Hey everybody, it's me. Just a quick note on the front end of this. So we're recording this still in the midst of the coronavirus, and it looks like it's going to be that way for quite a while. So I want to say first and foremost, I hope everybody's being safe and sanitary and smart during all of this. Hope everyone's taking it seriously, and I hope everyone is not getting too down in the dumps about it, but still, be smart and pay attention to what you're doing and what you might be spreading. On top of that, I want to, on a completely unrelated note, switching gears, we're attempting to keep the video show, to revive the video show a little bit for this podcast. So if you notice any gaps in audio or if the YouTube feed looks a little weird, we're still working out the kinks, hoping this episode is a leap forward in terms of the ability to actually, have that working the way I want it to work. So fingers crossed for this episode. Other than that, enjoy the episode. Cool. Hey, Dustin.
Hey.
Welcome. I've got this interesting little sectioned off box setup going on here, so we'll see if that is too busy for YouTube or just what the YouTube doctor ordered.
Dr. YouTube.
Yeah, Dr.
My name's Dr. Tube.
Dr. Tube.
First name Uriah.
Oh.
Dr. YouTube.
All right, so a U-tube to me sounds like a urine tube. So this is like a
urologist.
I was going to say a catheter doctor, but that's probably what a urologist is.
Yeah.
You put my U-tube in.
My YouTube.
So I can go to pee-pees.
Do you have trouble with incontinence?
Come down to Evan's barbecue if you do.
It's the same voice. Everything I do is just the same, like, weird Brad Leland.
Whoever that character is that you do, he gets a lot of work as voiceover. He does funeral parlors, Evan's barbecue. He does doctor commercials, medical malpractice
he's a
lawsuits.
Magnate.
Yeah,
he's a voice magnate. I just collect companies and I had a spokes for them.
I'm a titan of industry.
People from all around, they come to me and they say, all right, Mr. I don't even know my name.
Uriah?
My name's King.
Uriah King.
Uriah. All right, Mr. King. Why don't you give me some of that barbecue sauce of a voice you've been using?
Just dump that barbecue sauce on my vocals.
Here's your script, Mr. King. Now, just go ahead and dump that barbecue sauce on that script.
Just all the way down my throats, my gullets.
My gullets.
All right. Well, I don't know how to transition from gullet to movies. I actually do, Dustin. I really do. Not explicitly, but speaking of gullets, let's talk about horns.
Okay.
I'm gonna love you for the rest of my life.
Just love me for the rest of mine.
Please, you have to believe me. I loved her.
What does it feel like to get away with murder?
God to save your soul.
I should ask the devil to punish whoever killed her.
You know, you don't have to convince me. I believe you.
Why are you protecting me? Because if I did anything to her, then I'm a monster. How do I look? Did you notice anything unusual?
And in horns?
What are they?
You know how I think we should proceed? I should grind me up some OxyContin and have a little snort.
Everyone in this town is going crazy. I think it's because of me and these horns.
You killed that innocent girl. Now the devil has claimed you.
He didn't kill her father, and now people are telling me all these things I don't want to hear.
I'm so bad. I'm bad. I'm pretty enough to be on TV, right?
We gotta figure out who really killed Marin and get him to confess.
Big. I would never hurt her.
Tell me everything that happened.
Admit you killed her. It'd be such a huge scoop for me.
I got an idea. How about you guys beat the heck out of each other, and the winner gets an exclusive interview with me?
What's that snake doing around your neck?
Made a new friend.
Are those horns?
Damn right, they're horns.
You're a titan of industry too, Hooper, when it comes to segues.
Oh, I'm very good at those segues. Segway should sponsor this podcast.
They should.
They should. I feel like that's not the first time we've asked Segway to sponsor the show.
Yeah, probably not.
Where the hell are they?
I know. Are you even listening, Segway?
No.
We need to create a jingle. That's what we're missing.
Horns. The movie is Horns. Horns definitely features, at some point, a snake burrowing fully into the mouth and down the throat of a human being. That's where Gullet comes from. Now, Horns.
Okay.
Horns is a film directed by Alex Aja, starring Daniel Radcliffe. It came out in 2013. It's based on a book. And here's my little ditty on it. On Letterboxd, Horns is a weird movie based on a weird book about a man who wakes up with horns growing from his forehead and finds that people want to tell him their worst impulses. It's not a film for everyone. It's definitely niche, and I don't recommend it to the casual moviegoer. If you love Alex Aja or Daniel Radcliffe, you'll enjoy this movie. If you're scrolling Netflix, this may not be for you. I gave this 3 stars out of our new 6-star system.
Okay.
I read the book Horns by Joe Hill. I'm on a Joe Hill kick. Now that COVID-19 is out and about, I cannot go to the library and read the final 2 of his 4 current novels. But I found the audiobook for Nosferatu, so I'm going to listen to that. Maybe watch the Hulu show with Zachary Quinto. I don't know. That might come later.
Okay.
And then there's The Fireman that came out in 2016. I think that's getting adapted into something soon. I'm not sure. But Joe Hill's all over the place. Almost everything he writes gets adapted into something. Lock and Key is on Netflix right now. That's based on his comic series. So I'm into Joe Hill, son of Stephen and Tabitha King. I think I've mentioned that on the show before when I reviewed his other book. So this is going to be a double review of Horns the book and Horns the film. I have the same opinion of both, which is they're fine. They're okay. Again, 3 out of 6 stars for the film. I don't even know when I reviewed I think the book I had it as 3 stars too. You can follow me on Goodreads. But the film is interesting, and I had my eye on the movie for a long time because it starred Daniel Radcliffe, and this came out a couple of years after he was finished with Harry Potter. So this is in that period that he's still in now, but people weren't used to it yet. Of Daniel Radcliffe is going to do weird shit. He's done being Harry Potter, and what he wants to do now is whatever he wants to do. And so. By the way, Swiss Army Man is also on Netflix now.
Sweet.
A film we both love. Go see Swiss Army Man. You're on Netflix. Go watch Swiss Army Man. The upcoming Guns Akimbo looks kind of bizarre and nuts. So I kind of am into that for Daniel Radcliffe. I like Daniel Radcliffe, and I appreciate that he tries to subvert people's. Him and Robert Pattinson kind of had to do the same thing coming out of their franchises. Like we gotta do some underground films and really separate ourselves. I mean, this dude got naked on stage while he was shooting Harry Potter movies.
What's great, I always use Robert Pattinson, but specifically Daniel Radcliffe as an example of this. Is when you're in a long running franchise like that, you have to come out of it and establish yourself as a virtuoso. You can't take the safe projects. You have to just do, and you have the luxury of doing whatever you want.
Yeah.
These guys made enough money.
Yeah.
On the front end. So they can do whatever they want. And I think Daniel Radcliffe's done a really great job of coming out of that into this, artistic side of himself, which is great.
And it's weird because while they were in their roles, as Edward Cullen in Harry Potter.
And Cedric Diggory. People gave Daniel Radcliffe the benefit of the doubt when it came to artistry. Sure.
Couldn't say the word for some reason. Artistry.
Artisanal.
They gave him the benefit of the doubt in terms of artistry because I guess the franchise was more well received critically, and so his performance was respected, whereas Robert Pattinson's was kind of made fun of, and so but both
Robert Pattinson definitely had more to prove.
Yes, and it's so weird because I can't remember how many Twilight movies there are. 5? I think there's 5 Twilight movies. There's 4 books, and I think the last one was split. 5 movies, whereas Daniel Radcliffe had 8 movies. But like Robert Pattinson, they're both in have the same franchise aftermath. I forgot my point. It was a better one than just repeating something we said a minute ago, but that's how you tell artists. When you have people who are just heads of franchises and they're hacks, you don't hear from them again very much. But that's sort of goes to show like, yeah, this is great, but when this is all finished, what are you going to do? And the answer is, I've got all kinds of stuff I want to do. And now I have the freedom to do it. My agent will let me do it.
And when these kids, when they start young as kids, like Daniel Radcliffe did, there's always the question of, is this even what you want to do as a career? So there's a ton of people that just vanish, not because they're not getting offers, but because they just don't have the passion.
Can you hear my son screaming?
No.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, yeah, no, I hear something.
I was going to say, thank you, Blue Microphones. And adaptive noise reduction, Adobe Premiere.
Right.
No, I definitely agree. I saw this movie because I'd read the book, but I would have seen the movie eventually because of Daniel Radcliffe. I was just holding on because I started reading Joe Hill and I found out he wrote Horns. I was like, oh, wow, that's awesome. So I read Horns, finally got through it, and it was slower than Heart-Shaped Box, so it took me a little longer to get through. Horns, the film, again, I wouldn't recommend it to the casual Netflix scroller because it's not what you're looking for. If you're just looking for something to watch, you're not watching Horns. Horns is, again, for fans of Alex Aja. Do you like Piranha 3D? Do you like The Hills Have Eyes? Do you like Crawl, which I talked about a couple weeks ago? His direction makes the film better. But this is me coming at it from as a reader of the book. Like, they change a few things that are just fine. Again, there's, if you've read Horns, you're, concerned about the character integrity. What is Lee Turner's obligation, occupation, obligation to his employer?
Yes.
None of that matters. That's all changed. It's kind of weird, but whatever. But they do the book to movie stuff. They skip stuff, they change stuff, they condense stuff. It's fine. The soul of the movie the soul of the story is there. It's a story that actually is better, at least for me. I preferred seeing as a film because so much of what's going on in this is so visual. And yeah, it's internal, but they did a pretty good job of adapting the book and making it entertaining. It just comes down to, are you into what they're selling? And what they're selling you is a good guy named Ignatius Parish. I went to school called St. Ignatius, which was also a parish, so I've been to an Ignatius Parish. This man's name is Ignatius Parish. They call him Iggy or Ig, mostly Ig. So that's just weird to hear people say.
Right.
But Ig is dating a beautiful redhead named Marin, and they're happy and they're young and in love and everything. And I'm just telling this chronologically. This doesn't happen like on screen necessarily, but what happens eventually in their relationship is Marin is murdered, and a year later, and everyone thinks he did it. He didn't do it. There's nothing tying him or suggesting he did, but the court of public opinion is Ig Parish killed his girlfriend, and so the town has been condemning him for about a year. As the perpetrator, and he wakes up one morning after a night of heavy drinking, and he is sprouting horns out of his head, and they keep growing more and more as the film goes on. And he's like, that's weird. He goes to the doctor, and people just start telling him stuff, just voluntarily, like, I gotta tell you, I'm sorry about my piece of shit kid. I just want to like pick her up and throw her against the wall sometimes and watch her head smash in. It's just like, oh. And he's like,
Okay.
why are you don't do that? And asking his permission to do bad things. So as the film goes on, you sort of get the impression that, like, okay, so whatever he's turning into is some sort of like demon, hell lord kind of thing.
Sure.
But what he's doing throughout the film is using this information to figure out who killed my girlfriend. If I can get honest thoughts from people, I'm going to go track people down and figure out what actually happened. You know, it turns out the waitress that night lied to the police because she wants to be on TV, and she admittedly spread lies about people. So in a weird way, it's kind of like a weird rush to read a book and watch a movie where people are like voicing horrible, messed up thoughts because you go, oh my God, it just makes you wonder, like, how many people out there think like this?
Right,
How many times have I thought things like this and just never, ever, ever indulged them? So that was part of the fun of reading the book was, witnessing Joe Hill just sort of deciding, here's what people are thinking, and how is a normal good guy going to react? He just, So when it comes down to how exciting the movie is itself, I didn't mean to spend this much time on it. It's just fine. If you like Daniel Radcliffe, you want to see him do interesting things, Horns is on Netflix, and if there's no risk, and you've got lots of time now, and it's there. But again, I give it 3 out of the 6 stars. I think it's just fine. I think it's very niche. I think that there's subtext you could read into it. I see stories straightforward. So, and of course, having read the book and knowing how it ends, it's like, okay, that was not terrible because the story is visual. I enjoyed it more than I did reading the book. A few things are kind of by the numbers and, less clever than they were in the book. But again, most people, I don't think, are doing both. I think you're either watching films or reading books. It's rare that people are actually crossing over and doing both. Yeah. Only I do that intentionally. Horns is 3. I think Horns is a 3-star.
Sweet.
So, yeah. Did you... Okay, I'll ask you my question later.
Okay.
Let's talk about Troop Zero. I want to hear about that.
I'm Christmas Flint, human female. I think you'd like me. I think you'd want to be my friend. Dad, I think I could be part alien.
I sure as heck hope not.
I worry about your Christmas.
Good afternoon, birdies. Who's excited for Jamboree? There's something special this year, an opportunity to be a part of science. This is Dr. Prasad, all the way from NASA.
We are putting together a record of life to launch into space. We will be recording people at the Jamboree.
Raise your hands if you like to think about outer space.
They're girls.
Want to be Birdie Scout? I want to go to Jamboree. Jamboree is a talent show. Is that you, or is trash you?
It would have been good for you to be around the other girls. Lord knows I'll raise you like one of them hillbillies.
Joseph, we're gonna be birdies. I'm not a girl. There's nothing in the whole book that says you have to be. To make a troop, we need a minimum of 4 scouts. You know I ain't your friend, right? Yeah, I know that. Smash gets to come too. You want to help the most poor, struggling fools of the earth? Yes! Miss Raylene, your latest to glory.
You're just setting yourself up for your little heart to get broke.
No, set myself up to change my whole life.
They can't be birdies. Birdies have a strict quality code.
My booze are quality.
Well, the only number left in the state of Georgia is 0. So welcome, Troop 0.
We all got it in one badge each to go to Jamboree.
Buy my cookies so I can be a woman of substance. Have fun and puke, Miss Raylene.
Don't puke before you get the money, boo.
Y'all suck at being girls. We ain't got nobody to show us how to be better. Be that one for us. Like Jesus.
What kind of world would it be if every strange little girl thought she could just do whatever she wanted?
This is what God gave me to work with, and I'm gonna make it beautiful because it's mine.
Well, we look forward to seeing what you little girls are made of.
What is it, Angel?
We're made of organs and tissues.
Let's fall out. Life comes at you hard, you set it on fire.
I don't do nothing half-ass.
I don't want to do anything with half an ass.
Yeah, man. So Troop Zero is a new film. It was actually released on Amazon Prime in 2019, so it's still relatively fresh. And there's not a lot of buzz about it. Like I saw a few like YouTube ads for it, but by and large, like I hadn't heard about this. Sarah knew about it, my wife, and so she kind of wanted to see it. And so we sat down the other day and we watched it. So Troop Zero stars a handful of people that I know you'll know: Viola Davis, Allison Janney, Jim Gaffigan, and a bunch of kids too. People like McKenna Grace, who is quickly becoming a little actress to watch, and a few other children as well.
And Mike Epps, who is a kid at heart.
That is correct. Mike Epps is also in it, and he is a child at heart. So Troop Zero is the story of McKenna Grace's character, Christmas. Christmas is a young girl in rural Georgia in the late 70s, I believe, and she has no friends and is only ever interested in aliens. She believes they're out there and she wants to meet one. And so one day, a NASA scientist comes to her little backwater school and says they're sending sending these birdie scouts to camp, and whoever wins this big talent show will be able to be on the golden record that will be played into the stars. And so if there are aliens out there, they will hear the voice of these little girls.
Ooh.
So of course, Christmas is super into that. She wants to speak to the aliens. And so she tries to join the birdies and the Birdie Scouts and is quickly dismissed. So she decides to assemble her own group of little misfits, and they will compete and win this thing. That is the goal. So the bulk of the film is actually spent. It's really weird structurally because that sounds like, okay, we're going to be like putting this team together, and then we're going to be working on our talent show kind of thing. And then will we win or will we lose? But really the talent show is like the last, like it's the third act, but the first two acts, the bulk of this film is spent just with them, building the team of little misfit girls. And also they all have to achieve one merit badge in order to be eligible for the talent show. So the bulk of the film is them like doing these little tasks, right? Like wilderness survival, or selling cookies or whatever it might be. So that's sort of the thrust of the film. And that's not quite what I expected, but just so you know, that's what it is. So the film is, I'm going to say on our new 6-star system, it's a 4. It's a 4-star. It's better than just being fine. It's pretty good. It's not great. I wouldn't say it's a waste of your time. I do feel like it felt a little long. It felt a little lengthy just in, and I think part of that is the structure. This idea of little vignettes of like, okay, we're going to do this little task, and then we're going to achieve this little merit badge, and then we're going to achieve this next little merit badge. What that does when you watch too many of those, it starts to feel repetitive, or like it just starts to stack up. It's not uninteresting, but it does feel lengthy. The standout performances here, of course, McKenna Grace does great. She's the lead. But the standout performances here are Viola Davis and Allison Janney, who get to kind of play off of each other in an antagonistic way, where Viola Davis is a friend of Christmas, and Allison Janney's kind of the villain of the piece, if there is a villain, I guess. And so they kind of get to butt heads, and their interplay is really, really nice. And of course, I mean, Viola Davis is great, and Allison Janney is always phenomenal. So you're gonna enjoy this if you're a fan of those two actresses, which I am. And so, yeah, so here's the bottom line. The film is quirky and it's charming. I think it's not quite as quirky as it thinks it is. I think they could have pushed it a little bit. There are some other films that are about, like little misfit people that are maybe a little more exaggerated, and so you kind of get this like heightened sense of everything. But it never really pushes it too much here. Allison Janney, of course, she has the ability to play heightened very easily, but she plays pretty straight here. It's pretty realistic, and Viola Davis too. So I think had they gone the extra mile of like really exaggerating and pushing these characters to an unrealistic like level of quirkiness, the film would probably be more memorable. And if you cut out just a little bit of that, repetitive motion in the structure, I think you'd have a tighter film. It would be shorter for sure, but it would be a tighter film, and like I said, just a little more memorable. So I'm going to give it 4 stars. It's certainly worth your time, and if you already have Amazon Prime now, then this is or what do they call it? It's just Amazon Prime, right?
Yeah,
Prime Video, whatever.
Prime Instant Video,
whatever it is.
Amazon Prime Rib,
Prime Rib Now Plus. What they you're already paying for this, so this is like no harm, no foul. So I'd say it's a good way to spend your time.
If you're paying for exclusive content, you may as well watch exclusive content, unless it's just no good.
Right, exactly, and this is good, and so this is directed by a team. Their names are Bert and Birdie.
So first of all, Bert and Birdie, and aren't they the Birdie Scouts?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so that's funny. Second of all, my wife said Bert and Birdie, like from Sesame Street. I was like, that is Bert and Ernie.
Bert and Ernie. Yes.
Although only Ernie would choose such a yellow color grade as an homage to the rubber ducky.
There you go.
This thing was. I watched the trailer is yellow as hell, and all I could think of was Wes Anderson.
Yeah, no, the film is very Wes Anderson, but not that quirky, right? Like Wes Anderson's like really comfortable in how niche he is.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And Bert and Birdie
Extremely.
tried to play it more broad than that. And I think really, I mean, obviously the comparisons to something like Moonrise Kingdom would be too great had they really gone all like full Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like a quirky like vision like that really would go a long way in making this a little more memorable. Yeah. But look, I mean, great performances lead a pretty solid screenplay. Again, just as long as they cut out just a little bit of, just tweak the structure just a little bit. I think it could really, really make a big difference. There's just a lot to like about this movie. So again, it's really, there's no harm in trying it. And it's one of those things that, you could knock out in 30-minute increments if you want to over the course of a few nights. It's nothing like, it's not like a suspense movie where you feel like you have to stick around.
Right.
Like as much as I hate to ever advocate somebody like doing that, like you could do that. It's
reality
easy
is
watch.
Setting in for me to where I have to start watching movies that way.
Right. And this is an easy watch, right? You can just click play on the remote and let it go for a half hour and come back next time. So yeah, I would recommend it. I think especially if you're already paying for Amazon Prime, then yeah, give this a shot. And, if nothing else, it's great to kind of let Amazon know there's a hunger for original content, and they know that, but this is good stuff.
Yeah, I was telling Tara, like, have you ever heard of the show Atypical on Netflix?
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I have not seen it.
Okay. So we got in a big fight yesterday because I don't like watching new things that I'm not already interested in.
Yeah.
I'm a little airing my dirty laundry here a little bit.
Okay.
Tara thinks that I only will watch things that you and John and I have discussed and validated with each other.
Okay.
I say that's not the case. Many things I watch, they have seen and also like, but I make my own decisions.
Right.
But
I'm own, man.
I'm own. I am. But I thought Atypical surrounds, Michael Rappaport's in it, and there's an autistic teen involved. His son's autistic. And I was just like, I just don't want to watch anything right now that's even vaguely similar to Parenthood, because Parenthood is so good, and I'm not ready to start like a new show that is another family drama or a family comedy with autism, and let's talk about autism and let's do family stuff. It's just like, I'll get burned out, and I just don't want to do that. Like, we tried to watch The Witcher too soon after Game of Thrones, and I was so bored. All that to say, Netflix is full of original content that is just okay.
Yes.
And people have been talking about this for years. Like, market analysts, CNBC writers, like, they've all been saying for years, like, this content is the thing about having the ability to fund and make all these things. You have lots of original stories, but so much of it is just okay. And it just comes down to like you thought there was too many options before streaming. Like, there was too many options. Then we had, we had streaming, and then streaming started making stuff, and they flooded the market with so many things.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to tell what's going to be worth your time these days.
It is. And it is similar to back in the day when it was, okay, there's ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS. Mm-hmm. Now there's, AMC and HBO, and you got to add all these things into an FX and whatever.
TBS making shows. TBS
and TNT and FX. Right. And Seinfeld reruns. But that, you're right. Like it's similar to that, right? Like, what do I jump into? What's worth my time? Because at any point, like especially with a TV show, you really have to watch 3 episodes of a show to understand whether or not you want to keep going. Sometimes
depending on what year it was made, like whether it was still by network standards or if it was streaming short season standards, but you need to get to the equivalent of the front 9 finale. The front 9 cliffhanger episode where, it's Thanksgiving. This is the last one until January or February, whenever the show comes back, and the back 9 come in. You need to get all the way to the mid-season cliffhanger to decide whether you give a shit or not. And so
it's true.
If you get to episode 9, if I get to episode 9 and it's a show with like an average length of 53 minutes, it's episode 9 and it ends, and I go, who gives a fuck? I'm so angry. Like,
right.
I don't like
it's
getting
a
that
huge
far.
Time investment to figure out whether or not you're going to continue. And that's why, like, as much as I hate that I continually go back to the Breaking Bad it's only because by episode 3, I was hooked.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what I always look for in a show is like Parenthood was that way.
Oh my God. Parenthood.
I think by episode 2.
We haven't talked about Parenthood yet on this show. You've talked about Parenthood. We haven't discussed it. I feel like there's nothing really to say except for right now. Parenthood is, Dustin, it might be my favorite TV show, period.
It's so good, man.
A masterpiece.
It is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it's one of those shows where it hooks you from the beginning. Big cast and all. Yeah. Right? Like say what you will about the fact that there's a lot of family members and you got to keep track of all these people. Right. Yeah, but by episode 3, you're good.
You care about the people. It's easy to keep track when you care.
And that's exactly right. And so yeah, no, I'm in the same boat as you. I was actually talking about this just recently, is that my tolerance for network TV is at an all-time low.
So low.
I cannot with network television.
No.
Like when I watch it, I'm just like, here's the filler episode.
Yeah.
There's 22 of these to get through every year.
Yeah.
Like, this is insane. When are they going to do the musical episode? You know what I mean? Like, it's that feeling.
All the
constantly.
references are so contemporary and trendy and broad and market-based, market-tested.
Right.
Ugh.
Exactly. It's like Nathan Fillion talking about TikTok.
I know.
And I'm like, I don't care about this whatsoever.
Have you heard anything good about The Rookie?
I haven't. I mean, I haven't heard anybody talk about it at all.
We were watching they show those promos during American Idol, and we were watching that. Speaking of network TV, and so at some point, the tease Sunday night was they were showing like some clips from the Savannah audition. I was like, oh, there's Savannah again. There's Katy Perry in that dress, and there was a cop auditioning, but it was like that cop from from the show, from The Rookie.
Oh.
And then like she runs out or whatever, and it's like a special crossover episode. I was like, a crossover with a reality show?
Oh, Lord.
So while they were in Savannah, they shot a scene for The Rookie wherein that officer, not Nathan Fillion, his partner, one of the cops, is auditioning for American Idol in Savannah. Does this show take place in Savannah? Are they
not that I know of?
But people watching the crossover will go, well, that was Savannah. So why is she in Savannah in her uniform? I understand she's on duty in LA and she stumbles into the convention center and auditions, but you fly to Savannah, you put your uniform on, and you do the audition. Anyway, so
no, that's it. That proves
weird.
My point. Like network television is so
gimmicky,
markety,
yeah,
and it's so bad. Yeah. Like I just can't deal with it anymore. And so, but my tolerance for all television is at an all-time low because there again, it's what we were just talking about. It's the time commitment to understand whether or not I want to commit the next 7 years to this, or that's if it's on live, or the next 3 months if I'm going to binge it. But like I've got to figure out, is it worth that to me? And increasingly the answer is no. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if because the bubble burst, everyone was like, "Oh, the TV renaissance, everything's good on television," and now it's like, no. Now we took it for granted, and now everything thinks it's great, and it's not.
Yeah. We've said this on the show before that we're past the golden age of television. There was the golden age in whatever year, the 70s or whatever year it was, and then there was the new golden age, which was Sopranos, Mad Men, Breaking Bad, The Wire. All these great shows, 6 Feet Under, all these amazing shows on these emerging, The Shield, all these emerging networks defining themselves, great television. And that ended when those shows ended, when Breaking Bad ended, when Mad Men ended, way back with Sopranos, and then, Justified, and there are still good shows today, but there's so many shows, the market is so flooded with choice that forget the quality of the shows. The sheer volume of TV now makes this not a good era for TV. Because before it was clear, there was like 8 amazing shows that were on, and you could absolutely watch them all within a few years and be caught up and good with it, because it was a mixture of these are on streaming and these are still airing on networks. So go binge, go catch up, and then go watch them live or through the apps or whatever you're going to do. Now it's just like, oh, here's a shit. Like I'm starting The Expanse this year. I put that on hold after 2 episodes because The Office is going to be off of Netflix by the end of the year. So right now I'm watching The Office, a show I've already seen because this is the last time I'm going to get to watch it all the way through. But The Expanse is like 5 seasons deep.
Yep. Well, but see, this is the thing. Like I feel like the reason why those 8 shows or whatever it was that were so great, it was because they were all trying to be good television, and now everything's trying to be those shows.
Yeah.
Right? So Breaking Bad wasn't trying to be The Sopranos, and The Sopranos wasn't trying to be The Wire. It was literally just trying to be its own thing, which was good. And it's like, we have a story we want to tell, and we want to tell it well. And it just so happened to be a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Right. But then now everything's like, this is the new Breaking Bad. This is the new Soprano. And it's like, it's not. It just isn't. You can't aim for that and achieve it. You have to aim for, I'm going to tell the best story I can right here, right now. And maybe you'll get there.
Right. Yeah.
But man, I completely agree. I think it's the sheer number of choice that just makes it like, it makes it too overwhelming to start anything.
Yeah, it does. We let everyone in, and now it's impossible to like actually vet quality. And even when you do, there's just too much time involved. Like the shows that I made it a rule. I'm only going to start 1 new show per year.
Yep.
And so 2020 was The Expanse. This is on my own. My exception was with my wife.
Sure.
But like the shows I watch that I'm currently watching, that I'm enjoying, that I think are worth watching, are The Handmaid's Tale, which is a great show. The Crown is a great show. What else am I watching right now? Just stuff I'm waiting to come, for to come back for the season. BoJack Horseman just ended. BoJack Horseman is a phenomenal show.
Mm-hmm.
Messiah is interesting. I wouldn't call it great just yet. It's intriguing, and different.
Yeah.
Too early to tell.
Sure.
But
well, and that's the thing too, is like I said a long time ago, I will never recommend a show that isn't at least halfway through its tenure. Like I have to see evidence that they know where they're going before I'd be willing to recommend anything anymore. Or best case scenario, the show's done, then I'll recommend it to people.
Right.
Because I've been burned too many times. Like on Hulu, there was a show called The Act.
Mm-hmm.
Which Sarah and I started watching, and after about 2 episodes, I recommended it to some people, and then like 3 episodes later was the most jarring, unexpected thing that could ever happened, and me and the people I recommended it to all stopped watching it, and I lost my credit with those people forever. Right? Like that's just how it goes. And I'm like, I will never do that again. And it's because you can't, like, even after 1 season, you don't know, like anything could happen.
Yeah.
And I have no interest in like perpetuating bad television anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I will not be a conduit for shitty content.
Exactly.
And what? Why are you okay? Yeah, I was telling Tara last night, like, what I hate about talking about I told you last week, I hate talking to people about movies now. Outside of this show, because everyone has an opinion. There's so much stuff that everyone has a show that they are in the corner with. Like I go to the morning show and it's like, oh, you want to watch Narcos? Narcos. And it's like, I'm sure Narcos is great. I don't care, and I don't have an interest in Narcos, and that's great if you love Narcos. It's not my thing, and I don't care. Sure. But like, I told her, I said, I'm tired of 12 different people recommending 12 different shows to me and no 2 people recommending the same thing to me. Because that just tells me here's 12 people who have a favorite show, but none of them have any viewing habits in common, apparently. And so to me, it's like, well, then that show has no legs then, because if it did, then at least half those people would recommend the same show to me.
Yeah.
And even when they do, even when 6 people recommend Ozark to me, which I want to watch, I still go, okay, well, when I find the time, I'll get around to Ozark.
Yep.
But it's 3 seasons deep, and I'm still not watching it. So
right.
Right.
And so gone are the days, like I still always go back to this, Lost, right?
Yeah.
Lost was a cultural like touchstone for years, right? Lost was the equivalent of the book club that meets every week and you discuss what you read that week, right? It was the water cooler. It was this long form storytelling where every week we would all get together. Everybody was watching the same program.
Lost is what started a lot of people, including me, to go online and read forums.
Yes, me too.
I didn't do that shit before.
No, and I read all the theories and like all the screen grabs that were like, look at this in the background. And it was like, the Dharma logo is on the shark. And it's like, all of this stuff. And it's like, here's what's painted in black light on the back of the hatch door or whatever.
Here's why the others don't wear shoes.
Yes, exactly. All that stuff, dude. Yeah. Like that show, everyone was talking about it. Everyone had a theory.
Which of the characters is gay?
Right. And they did that like because everybody was watching it, right? Yeah. But now like those days are gone.
Yeah.
There's not that many people watching anything because everybody's too spread out. I'd say the only thing that has a similar type of like pull in America was Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And then is, for 2 months every year is Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah. Those are the only things that everybody in America watches.
Yeah, that's true.
Everything else, like Ozark, I hear it's great.
Yeah, but it's not like broadly recommended.
But no one's talking about it.
It's not a phenomenon.
Right, exactly.
And that's why things that are phenomenon get things made that ape them. Like, how many movies are coming out right now that are basically Stranger Things?
Yes.
How many movies are coming out that are basically Stranger Things that also star Finn Wolfhard?
Yes, all of them, all of them.
Yes.
But you could say Stranger Things is living on the lost formula. I mean, it's in a weird way.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's create theories, let's create, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like we don't have all the answers, but we'll have them one day maybe.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. And there's just nothing out there doing that because everybody's too spread out. And again, I don't care how many good shows there are on HBO.
Yeah.
There's evidently like 700,000 of them, but I don't like The Outsider, Euphoria, whatever,
Right.
blah blah blah. Great, but I can't watch all of those things.
I'm
and
sure
I won't.
that The Outsider is good. I've read the book. The book is good, but I don't watch it because I don't have HBO right now, and I don't have time. Even if it's a limited series, I don't have time, and even if it's a plot that I know and I'm fine with, I still don't want to do it.
Dude, and I know people that are like addicted to or like their loyalties are to one specific network.
Yeah.
Like they'll watch everything on HBO.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
weird.
I'm like, dude, that makes
such-
no sense.
It's 2020. Like, who is brand loyal to any network anymore? You have so many options. You don't have to be brand loyal.
That's like saying, dude, New Line Cinema is my favorite production house studio. I'm gonna follow everything they do.
Yeah.
Why? That makes no sense. Although A24 is pretty solid.
I was gonna say A24.
yeah.
I was gonna say like it's fine if you like if because it's produced by a certain studio you want to check it out because of their leadership is clearly on point.
Blumhouse, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's just overkill, man.
All this to say that Troop Zero is above that waterline in terms of it is not middling original content. It is actually worth seeing if you have Amazon, because it's hard. Totally. You open a lot of the apps, especially Amazon, anything that's just a poor job of presenting to you what's new and fresh.
Yeah.
Which if you open an app and every time you look at it, you go, I feel like nothing's different. You're going to go less. Netflix is really good at going, hey, have you seen this? And you go, I haven't. Thank you.
Yep.
Or they change up those posters to make them different with the same thing. It still feels different. Netflix is still the best at doing that and making you want to open the app and see what's in it.
They have the best interface, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like, the people who criticize Disney Plus for the interface are pretty justified. It's a little better than Amazon Prime still, because Amazon Prime's interface is just garbage. It just sucks.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I only go to Amazon Prime if I've Googled a thing and Google tells me Amazon Prime has it. Then I go. But I don't browse Amazon Prime because it sucks.
Yeah.
It's Troop Zero. All right, let's take a break for just a minute. And we'll go over a couple more things when we come back, super quick, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay, cool. Be right back. Tara's on the computer, and I walked in, and she's looking at like a lung, and I walked by and I said, "I swear I thought you were on Arby's.com."
Arby's. We've got the meat.
We've got the lungs.
We've got the lung. You know who that is? I don't know if he still is, but it was Ving Rhames.
Really? Was it not James Earl Jones?
No, that was Ving Rhames.
It was never James Earl Jones?
I don't think so.
What?
I'm gonna look this up.
Wait a second.
Yeah, okay, the voice, this says...
no.
If you've ever heard the Arby's commercials and thought, I recognize that voice, I found the answer. The voice in the ads is so deep and expressive, it sounds a lot like James Earl Jones, but it's not. The voice is Ving Rhames. I don't know if he still is, but I know that it was.
Wow. See, I hear it now, but I'm really heartbroken that that's not James Earl Jones.
It is Ving Rhames.
So the only voice work James Earl Jones is doing is those weird commercials with Malcolm McDowell.
Yes.
Where they read, oh, wow. I thought that was James Earl Jones. I was so happy. I guess I'm happy for Ving Rhames too, but...
Sure. I guess it just means that Ving Rhames could potentially be Disney's new Vader in whatever weird spinoff they end up doing ultimately about Vader, because I'm sure they'll do something about Vader because Vader is Vader.
Okay. Well, we're back. What is this? Oh yeah. So Dustin, look here. Let me show you this. Can you see this on the screen?
Yeah.
It's hard to see. It's so small, but everything's brown.
I'm in the inside of the heart right now. That's like legit the inside of someone's heart.
Yeah, we're on the air, so this will be part of the show. But I will tell you that I walked past that screen and I was like, I thought it was roast beef. I thought
You weren't looking at that. You were looking at the inside of a lung.
That's what I said. It was a lung.
That's not a lung. That's a heart.
I'm not saying that that's what I was looking at. I'm saying that I was looking at a lung. You're on the screen, just so you know. I'm keeping all this in.
No.
Yeah. All right. Well, then let me.
I'm trying to find your roast beef for you.
Hey, you know what's crazy?
What's crazy?
Crazy Rich Asians.
Crazy Rich Asians.
I was looking at the inside of someone's lungs. Like this is the media style.
You can't tell. You can't.
But it's like where lungs would be, but the lungs are out of the body right now.
Step inside.
Oh my gosh.
That's like a legit,
Oh, gross.
Who's hungry?
So I'm sitting
wants
here.
to eat?
You know where you can get those good old lungs? At Evans Barbecue.
Evans Barbecue. Come on down and get your lungs filled.
Get your lungs filled with barbecue sauce.
Barbecue sauce and oxygen. O2. Good old oxygen.
Are y'all doing a weird Arby's joke?
You're going to have to watch later.
No, I won't.
Okay, well then you get to have that FOMO for our hilarious jokes. Do you not know what FOMO is?
Right. We've been dating for over a year now, and I think it's about time people met my beautiful girlfriend. What about us taking an adventure east?
Like Queens?
Singapore, Colin's wedding. Don't you want to meet my family?
I hardly know anything about them. Every time I bring them up, Nick changes the subject. Maybe his parents are poor and he has to send them money.
I'll take a bags and get you checked into first class.
Can't afford this. So your family is rich?
We're comfortable.
That is exactly what a super rich person would say.
I want money.
1.2 million.
That's what I want.
The Nick you're dating is Nick Young?
Yeah, you guys know them or something?
Hells yeah. They're just the biggest developers in all of Singapore.
That's what I
Damn, Rachel. It's like the Asian Bachelor. These people aren't just rich. They're crazy rich.
Oh, you really should have told me that you're like the Prince William of Asia.
That's ridiculous. Much more of a Harry. Mom, this is Rachel Chu.
She just thinks you're some unrefined banana.
No. Those are for your fingers.
Yellow on the outside or white on the inside.
Do something crazy!
I chose to raise a family. For me, it was a privilege. But for you, you may think it's old-fashioned.
Don't you want Nick to be happy?
I know you're not what Nick needs.
She's like trying to play a game of chicken with me, thinking I'm gonna swerve like a chicken.
But you can't swerve. You gonna roll up and be like,
"Bok bok, bitch."
Okay, maybe not as aggressive.
I met a girl, I fell in love, and I want to marry her.
You're Nicholas Young. You're untouchable. But Rachel's not.
Have you prepped Rachel to face the wolves?
You know I'm back, like I never left.
I really admire you. It takes guts coming all the way over here, facing Nick's family.
Another day, another breath.
I know this much. You will never be enough.
It's about time someone stood up to Auntie Eleanor. Well, you, not me. Oh, God. She can't know I was ever here.
I feel glorious, glorious. Got a chance to start again. I was born for this, born for this.
Ever since I can remember, my family has been my whole life. Rachel! Rachel!
If Nick chose me, he would lose his family. And if he chose his family, he might spend the rest of his life resenting you.
You nasty. You kind of nasty. You got nastier.
You have seen this, right? Because I think you mentioned it at one point in conversation.
I have, yeah.
So, what was your overall take on it?
I don't remember my rating. I
Okay.
do not remember my rating for Crazy Rich Asians, but I remember Yeah, I don't think it was like up at 4, but it was like I was probably 3.5 as my snap memory of Crazy Rich Asians. I enjoyed it. You know, I don't think I'd watch it again. I don't have any reason to watch it again, but I remember going like, oh, you know, because normally it's like it's you know, a couple of like reversed gender things in the structure. It's normally like you know, this is a horrible comparison, but for you know, for a lot of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner or, you know, Meet the Parents, it's the boyfriend is coming home to meet the family and they don't accept him, and then he proves himself worthy of acceptance, and then it happens. Yeah. So in this one, it's Constance Wu is the one who's flying to China to meet her fiance's family, and they don't accept her, and then she fights for acceptance and stuff like that. So, and he's like, the person with the family is always rich.
Yes, absolutely. That's the you hit the nail on the head. It's a flip flop of the traditional structure. I guess typically because most screenwriters are males. They just tend to have male protagonists, and so it's about the male fighting for acceptance.
It's also more of a trope for a father to have high standards for who his daughter marries, and you know, maybe and not as well explored, although completely believable, that a mother would have high expectations of who her son marries,
especially within this culture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so
which is what makes the movie inherently a good. It's based on a book, but like, which is what's a big draw about the film for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't have a lot to say about this movie. But and we just covered the plot, so I'll just jump straight into my star rating, which is like a 2. I didn't like this movie. I felt like it was either, so if 1 is it pissed me off and 2 is it didn't piss me off, this kind of pissed me off, but not so much that I want to give it a 1, right? Like it's not that bad, but it kind of made me mad in a few spots. And here's why. So first of all, I felt like most of the performances were borderline. It was acceptable, but didn't do anything beyond what was required. And then I felt like there's a few things that just didn't quite like dropped ideas and things that didn't quite fit within this thing. And I can see how this would work better as a book, because there's so many characters, and like you could do like, this chapter is about whoever, this chapter is about the next person. But with a film, you do have to be more focused. Yeah. And I felt like the downside was, so if the story is Constance Wu's story,
the Constant Wu Gardner.
If this was Constance's story,
right?
Rachel Chu is her name. If this is Rachel's story, then why are we seeing things that Rachel not only has no frame of reference for, but doesn't participate in?
Right.
And so that makes the film inherently less focused. For me, there are opportunities where that can work within a structure, but for me, you have to set it up as being one of those types of films early, and I felt like they didn't do a good job of doing that here. So and then there's like this whole like prologue scene where you have like the Youngs going into a hotel, and like they're the new owners of this hotel, and it's like, what did that really have to do with anything?
Right.
You know, so there's stuff like that where it's like, this doesn't come back into play. This isn't like I thought the finale would happen at that hotel, or like something was going to come back to play there. It didn't. There's like all these dropped ideas.
It was just there to show that this family, it was more of like a reversal of power, reversal of expectation scene. And it was just to establish that the family is wealthy and educated and basically powerful. But that's all communicated very clearly in subsequent scenes. If you look at their house, or they talk about, you know, the business holdings they have,
right,
it's not quite necessary.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think that that even if this is Rachel's story, they do a poor job of setting it up as being through her eyes, though that's clearly what they want. They clearly want us to see this from her perspective, but we're constantly seeing things from Nick's perspective and from everybody else's perspective. And the only time we ever get to settle on her before the craziness starts is one scene with her mother where they're talking about what she's going to wear. And that's the only scene we get where we're squarely focused in our protagonist's eyes. And then all of a sudden we're just like seeing all these other storylines. It felt erratic. It didn't feel focused. The characters, I mean, obviously this is sort of a broad comedy. So, the characters are exaggerated and the characters are crazy. I mean, case in point, Ken Jeong plays a character. Like it's going to be over the top, but
I certainly saw him and I was like, oh no.
Right. There's definitely like a feeling when he's on screen where you're like, ooh, this is pretty exaggerated here. Because Ken Jeong is evidently incapable of doing a scene like this where he just goes, hey, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
He's going to make it like so big and blown out that like
it's like
you die.
He must be so pissed when he watches Randall Park work because he's just like, damn it. I could have been that guy who's subtle but can be zany, and I missed the boat.
Yeah. Everything has to be at 11 with him.
Is Constance Wu, by the way, speaking of Randall Park, is Constance Wu, isn't she in Fresh Off the Boat? I believe she is part of the cast of that.
Maybe.
Of that show.
Well, you know what? I have it pulled up here. Hold on. Let's see.
I think she is. I love Randall Park.
She is.
The first time I saw that guy, I can't remember the first film I saw Randall Park in. It may have been, you know what? It was Veep. That guy was in Veep.
Oh yeah, he was in Veep.
He was, and then Fresh Off the Boat, and then of course Ant-Man and the Wasp. He's in that, and he's gonna be in subsequent movies. I think he's in the WandaVision show as that FBI agent.
He's in Aquaman.
Is he really?
Which is weird. He is.
I love Randall Park. He's so delightful. He really can play it straight or play a goofball. He's really versatile and he's really funny.
The first time I saw him was in The Office.
Where? Oh, wait a minute.
He plays fake Jim at one point. So do you remember?
How late? How late is this?
This is probably season 6 or 7.
Okay, I'm in 6 right now.
Okay, so there's a moment where Jim pulls a prank and Randall Park is involved.
There's very early in the show you see Michael Scott's improv class, of which Ken Jeong is a part of, and you get a very early look at his whole shtick. Which is just your future is very bright. Okay.
It's subdued because it is The Office after all. But like, it's clear
NBC was like, hey, let's take a little bit off the top of this.
I feel like that whole time he's just like pinching his own like leg. He's just like,
must go broader.
Make it subtle. Oh,
it's okay. Yeah. One day I'll appear naked in a movie and people will be shocked.
Multiple times. Yeah. Right. But yeah, man, look, the bottom line is I felt like this is a weird comparison. And, but I feel like Crazy Rich Asians is the equivalent of a Tyler Perry movie. It's exaggerated.
Yeah.
It is, it relies on stereotype only insofar as it builds on stereotype. It for the most part supersedes the stereotype.
Yeah.
But it does at least build on some foundation of that. And you know, I just felt like maybe the part of it is I saw this after I saw The Farewell, and I saw them very close together.
Right.
And I know you and I didn't see eye to eye on The Farewell.
Well, I think we agreed on what worked about it. It just came down to personal preference.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Our star rating was different.
And look, I'm very flippant. Sure. Whatever, but.
Right. But like I saw them back to back, and I guess I wanted this to feel a little more like admittedly it's a broad comedy, so it's got to be exaggerated, it's got to be over the top, but I think I wanted it to be a little more like culturally representative than maybe it was.
Right.
It still felt very Western. And
what's the studio here? Warner Brothers, I think.
Probably.
I believe they are.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think whose YouTube account I pulled the trailer off of.
I think it was Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is. But I wanted it to be a little more representative of the culture, and there's certainly some elements of that in here, of course, but I feel like it feels Western. It feels like a movie made for a Western audience, whereas The Farewell, of course, was, but it felt very much like comfortable in its Eastern culture.
Yeah.
And I felt a little resistance here, like, I don't know. So, like even down to the idea of like, defying the family and defying like the whole idea is pursuing your passion was an American idea, and why would you do that? And then at the end, that's what they get to do.
Yeah.
Right. It feels very like defiant of a culture as opposed to embracing a culture.
I see. Yeah.
And so to me, it was more like Easterners learning how to behave like Westerners. In the grand scheme of things, or at least to accept Western ideal.
That's a good point.
And our ideas. And so for me, it felt a little less genuine. And so anyway, all that to say, I found it hard to get through this film. There was a couple points where I did think about turning it off. It was a little predictable and a little bit like, oh, now this and now that and whatever. And then the characters weren't quite all fleshed out. Like you've got, Nick's best friend, who's getting married, and his girlfriend. They all go out to dinner. They have like a good time. But then the next time we see his bride to be, she's like, I'm getting married, and she's, throwing a party and stuff, and she's not really caring about Rachel at all, which, like Rachel's clearly going through something. Like people are putting dead fish in her bed and stuff.
Yeah.
And like this bride who was so kind and generous to her when she arrived, and their men were there, and then now seems so like apathetic.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this character? And then at the end, she walks down the aisle, and I'm supposed to feel like this is a beautiful moment, but she did nothing to help our protagonist. This feels weird to me. And so anyways, a lot of stuff like that just kept getting under my skin, where I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be feeling, or I know what I'm supposed to be feeling, but I'm not feeling it.
Right.
And so bottom line, like 2-star is where I'm going to land on it. I think there are some redeeming qualities about the film for sure, but I don't think I would rewatch it, and I know there's sequels yet to be made, and because I think the book's like a trilogy, and so they're making a couple sequels. I don't anticipate seeing them unless I hear really great things. So so that's Crazy Rich Asians.
They should call it Guess Woo's Coming to Dinner.
Guess Woo's Coming to Dinner. Yes.
Okay, let's do this last one real quick. I'm gonna talk real quick about Instant Family.
I love what you two are doing with this house, but what are you gonna do with 5 bedrooms? You guys are obviously never having kids.
What was that look? I did not do a look.
You're doing a look right now.
There's no look.
Have a good fight, guys.
There's so many kids in foster care, and they're having an orientation.
Ellie, people who take in foster kids are really special. The kind of people who volunteer when it's not even a holiday. We don't even volunteer on a holiday.
Over 500,000 children are currently in foster care. The county puts these on because they can match a lot of kids and parents quickly.
Look at the big kids.
Everybody's avoiding them. I'm gonna go and say hi.
But they're teenagers, okay? They use drugs and they watch people playing video games on YouTube. We're not equipped for any of that.
Hi! Just FYI, we can all hear you. It's okay. Go mingle with the kitties and don't give it another thought. Bye-bye.
She was cool.
Lizzie comes with 2 younger siblings.
3 kids? Too much.
Oh
my God.
They're adorable.
Why would you show us that? That's wrong.
Here we are.
Make yourself at home because you're at home.
Do you like the Clippers?
Oh, I'm more of a Lakers fan.
Oh, no! You hit me because I like the Clippers.
I think the Clippers are awesome. They were smart for trading Blake Griffin. Their best player.
Ow!
Just stay there till the fire department comes, okay?
You're just another white lady who wants to adopt charity orphans to make you feel good about yourself. Pretend mom.
We might have a little bit of a knack for this.
I beg to differ. This stuff takes time. Lizzie had to parent Juan and Lita all by herself. This is never going to be easy, but with some structure and love, you could make your house a home.
Lizzie!
We love you. Please just go away.
When I'm pissed, you know what I like to do?
Really?
All right, let me fix her, okay?
Thanks, Daddy.
I just got my first daddy. Oh, what the?
You suck. I want some of that. Hey, honey, can I help you with anything?
No.
What are you doing to my phone?
Look at what this boy texted her.
Is this that kid, Jacob? Hey,
I saw the picture you sent her, Jacob.
You're lucky I'll end your life right now, Carrot Top.
we're gonna call your mom.
You're going down today.
So what do you think of that, Jacob?
My name's not Jacob.
What? Okay.
So, did you ever end up seeing this?
I didn't. It is still on my list, although depending on what you say,
I might change your mind.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So here's my letterbox ditty. All right. Instant Family is one of those more classic comedies. By that I mean the way they should be, not a jumble of improvised lines and alternate takes comprised of timely pop culture references, but a movie about something that's also funny. A movie with story first. Maybe I'm talking it up too much, but a comedy that actually shines light on the adoption system and the real families that have been through it. Like the director of this film has to get higher than mid-grade for me, so I gave it 3.5 stars. It's okay. So structurally, it's a studio comedy. It's just I'm gonna go ahead and call it like comfortably upper middle class people get into a situation. And it's kind of zany for a while, but they handle it, and at the end of the day, everyone's hearts are full and everyone's good. That's the structure. I remember there was controversy when this movie came out because the children are Hispanic, and people were like, there was a whole thing about like why are we making this white savior movie? And I can't remember if the director's actual children that he adopted were also Hispanic or what or not. But I know that this story is based on his own experience. I think the director's from Georgia.
Oh, wow.
I can't remember his name. I should have written this all down, but I don't do that because it's not how I roll. But but this was based on true events for him. And that's what I like about the movie is it's a movie about, there's plenty of scenes where Octavia Spencer and God, who's that comedian who looks like God, I'm blanking on her name. Well, forget it. Anyway, they'll get up there and be and just there are a few scenes where there's a little bit of exposition about the statistics about the adoption system or whatever, but those are the kind of statistics that ground a movie's reality and set up the stakes. Like 1 in 4 kids, will be abused in foster care, or here's what happens to the teens that are never adopted by foster parents. They turn to drug addicts and homeless, and they don't have a future and stuff. So like, this is basically about Mark Wahlberg and Rose Byrne being like a Chip and Joanna Gaines type. They're a husband and wife construction and design team. They flip houses. That's their profession. And they're fine and everything, but they haven't had kids. And they can't remember where they are about having kids or whatnot, but they decide to adopt. They go to the adoption seminar. And like a lot of people there, they are like, let's adopt like a 4-year-old or let's adopt a baby. And then they're given the pitch during the orientation. It's like, by the way, teenagers need to be fostered as well and maybe adopted. And here's why it's so important because, they really need it more than anybody. And so then they find this trio of siblings that they decide to foster and contemplate adopting. And it goes well for a while, and then it doesn't go well because then you get to the hard part and where they start rebelling or they resent you or they start treating you like you're a temporary parent because that's what you are to them, and they've been through this so many times. So how do you love kids who have been abused or neglected? What do you do when their birth parents get out of jail? So for, again, structurally and on the outside, it's just a typical here's a studio comedy, but I think I just appreciated that it had a social utility to it. It was about something that I hadn't seen in a movie before, and not like wildly different, but just it was unlike some Judd Apatow comedy in that it wasn't just a bunch of improv lines that are cut together into an overlong film. It was, a script, maybe a few improvisations I could, but there was no filler. There was no like, okay, get on with it in this movie.
Right.
It was just here's a couple, let's, again, it's not like a groundbreaking comedy or anything. It's just a nice one. And I gave it 3.5 because it's better than the mid grade for me. It's on Hulu and I think Amazon Prime. They tend to have some of the same stuff a lot.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth seeing, especially if you just want to sit down. You want a heartwarming comedy, but you don't want like stupid, dumbass studio schmaltz that's just formulaic. I mean, the structure's formulaic, but the added spice of the inspired by true events and the added spice of the subject matter of the adoption system, I think puts it a little bit over mid grade for me. I would recommend people see it because at the end of the day, it's just a nice, safe comedy. While it's, I think it's PG-13, but we had fun watching it. I laughed out loud plenty of times. I like Mark Wahlberg. I like Rose Byrne. The kids in this are great, especially Isabella Moner. I'm going to call her Moner, even though it's an unfortunate last name. But she's been in a few things. Always named Isabella, Bella, Lizzie. It's weird. Her character names are all very similar to her actual name. I think she's a singer as well, so maybe I don't know if it's like a writer in her contract. My name must be homonym level similar to my character's name. I don't know. Anyways, she was especially good, and I think she has the most crucial role in the film where she's playing a 15-year-old. I don't even know how she'll. I think she is fairly young, like 17 or 18, but she's playing a 15-year-old here, and you're playing a 15-year-old who really is bridging the gap between the parents and the kids, and a lot of the emotional resonance of the film rests on what's going on with her. So I actually really applaud Isabella Moner for her performance in this movie, just because she's playing it very subtle in a lot of areas where a worse actress would have just played it too broad. And I think that I don't know. I think she's the heart of the movie, at least for me, anyway. So yeah, that's Instant Family. I don't know. I'd recommend it, especially. I mean, I watched it with my wife, and it's as established. It's hard for us to find something we both feel like watching, and we settled on Instant Family, and it was good. I think she said she would watch it again.
Okay.
So
I do want to watch it, and there's two things that I wanted to piggyback on what you said. One, you mentioned like it's like formulaic, right? Like the formula. Well, especially in a comedy, I kind of find that the formula works.
Right.
The formula provides comfort and it provides like stability and pace.
Yeah.
And honestly, like the formula works.
Yes.
Like it would be a lot worse if like the formula sucked and we just kept on beating a dead horse.
Right.
But the formula works, and for me, like it kind of frees up like the added like uneasiness that can come with something that doesn't follow any formula or just makes up its own formula. And it's kind of like, okay, I can let this film wash over me in a way. And with a comedy, I find that's incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
Like I'm comforted by the formula, and then I can be shocked by the jokes. If it was the opposite, I don't think it would work. At least not as well. And the other thing you mentioned, like the white savior thing, and right. the only thing I want to say about that is like I don't understand that critique, especially when it comes to films about children. I understand it a little more if it's like inept person of color can't get their act together,
right?
And they're like like 45 years old, and only when white man shows up do they get their act together. Okay, like I give it to you there, but like when it's children, what's the alternative? Would you rather children?
They cover this in the film. While they're going through the process of fostering the kids, they're at the table with God, what is her name? She's a skinny comic. Her name starts with a T. It's God.
Tig Notaro.
Tig Notaro. Thank you. God, that was bothering me. Tig Notaro
sounds like a Star Wars name.
And Octavia Spencer are like the adoption agency people, and they're kind of a fun little community duo in there. And so Mark Wahlberg and Rose Byrne are in there, and they're going through adopting all this. And he says, is it going to be weird though? Is it going to be weird that we're adopting these Hispanic kids? Like, is that going to be weird for people to accept? And I just don't want to get isn't that kind of like backwards of us to do that or something? And Tig Notaro said, okay, cool. Well, I'll just, she says something like, I'll just put you down for whites only then, should I? And they're like, no, that's not what we meant or whatever. And they're just like, look, the reality, and then she gets serious. She goes, the reality is we have way too many kids and not enough parents. So it really doesn't matter. And Octavia Spencer actually says, people are going to say some stupid shit. And you just tell them to fuck off because these are your kids. Yep. And the whole idea, and then of course the kids at their angriest, the daughter says something like you're just another white mom who wants to come in and save the brown kids or whatever. So they let that into the movie a couple times as a way to address it. Like, we're aware of how this can look if you're an idiot, but if you're paying attention at all, you realize that these children don't have a home, and these are two parents who will love them, and they weren't picked because they were Hispanic. They were picked because they're a brother and two sisters who don't have a mom. Yeah, who are in need, and whatever. So, I remember being angry at the time that news came out, but I hadn't seen the film, so I was just like, well, I feel like I can't speak to this, but like it's so stupid. I hate white savior critique because so often it's not really accurate. It's just sort of a weird way to be progressive that's not progressive.
The two movies that I hear that tossed around the most with is The Blind Side, which I haven't seen.
They mentioned in this film.
Really?
There's a lot of comics in this film, and Elijah Schlesinger plays a single mom who is specifically trying to adopt a black teenager so that she can help him reach his athletic potential. And they're like, "Oh, you mean like The Blind Side?" And she's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." It's like that's the plot of The Blind Side.
That's the plot of The Blind Side. Yeah. But like people often forget, like, The Blind Side is based on a true story, right? Like so the critique doesn't really hold water.
No.
And then the other one is like The Help, right? Like I hear that about The Help all the time. And it's like, but again, I don't look at that as like a white girl saving these black people who don't have a voice, but rather giving of her platform to allow their voice to be heard.
Right.
I don't see that the same way. And anyway, whatever.
Yeah, there's always weird critiques of movies, and again, like, this isn't a groundbreaking film, but it's certainly not deserving of that sort of scrutiny.
Sure.
Even if it Anyway, that's Instant Family. That's yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right, I've got to go. It is late, and it's got a big week ahead of us. So, Dustin, I appreciate it, sir, once again.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, everyone, wash your hands, be safe, be smart, and we'll see you next week. We'll talk about some more stuff. I already told you I can't do Monday. It's my anniversary next week. So,
yeah.
Well,
happy early anniversary.
Thank you very much.
Is it Monday?
Monday is the anniversary. Yeah.
Oh,
yep.
Okay.
Yep. 7 years,
Sweet.
baby.
7 years.
Mm-hmm. I better, for the first step of making that a happy day is ending the show right now. So I will see you later, sir.
Bye.
Bye.